Bismillah. In this lesson, I'm gonna show you how to represent a grouped frequency table like that by histogram. So we have the class or the interval and the frequency which is corresponding to each set or each interval. Now how to represent them by histogram. Histogram represents the sets by rectangles. The length of the rectangle, the length of the set itself. So for the first one, 0 to 20, second from 20 to 30, and so on. But what about the height? How to find the height? To find the height, we need to find the frequency density. So the height will be the frequency density. Now how to find the frequency density? To find the frequency density, which is the height, you need to divide the frequency, which is given to you, by the class width. Class width means what? The width of the class. How to find the class width? The upper value minus the lower value. So if we write the class width for each set like that, from 20 to 0, so the class width is 20. Just subtract 20 minus 0. Second one, 30 minus 20, so 10. 35 minus 30, so the class width is 5. So the class width, upper value minus the lower value. 45 minus 35, 10. And for the last one, 60 minus 45, so the class width is 15. Now we can find the frequency density. Divide the frequency by the class width. Divide the frequency by the class width. So this is the rule. The frequency density equals the frequency divide the class width. So 8 divided by 20, so 0.4. So the height for this rectangle, 0.4. Now 13 divided by 10, 1.3, and so on. 18 divided by 5, 3.6. 20 divided by 10, 2. 12 divided by 15, 0.8. Now we have the length for each rectangle and its height. The length and the height. So we can represent them by histogram like that. In x-axis we have the length we have the sets. On y-axis we have the frequency density. And you will find this is the first set from 0 to 20, its height 0.4. From 20 to 30, the height 1.2. From 0 to 1 we have 10 small squares. So each small square represents 0.1. So 0.4 we have 4 small squares. The next set 1.2. So this 1 and 4 small squares. So this 1.2. From 30 to 35, the height 3.6. So we have 3 and this 0.5, 3.5 and 1 more square, so 3.6, and so on. So this is the histogram, represents the grouped frequency table. In this histogram, if you find the area for each rectangle, the area will represent the frequency. So 20 times 0.4 will be 8. This is the frequency for the first set or the first class. So the area represents the frequency. The area represents the frequency for each rectangle. And also in some question, you will find histogram. This is the length and this is not the frequency density, this is the height. In this case, if the vertical line not the frequency density but the height, this means that he found the frequency density and then multiply the frequency density by a factor, by any number, by 2, by 3, by 4, divided the frequency density by 2 or by 6 or by 4. So this means the height of the of each rectangle in histogram equal frequency density or proportional to the frequency density. Sometimes he multiplies the frequency density by 2, by 3, by 4. If the frequency density is too small, sometimes divide the frequency density. So remember that when we solve question in past paper. Now you can practice. This table gives information about the heights of year 12 pupils in college. So draw a histogram for the information on the axis below. So before we draw, we need to find the frequency density. Now you can pause the video and solve by your own, then you check your answer later. Now, how to find the frequency density? You need to find the class width first, because frequency density equal frequency divided class width. So we need to find the class width. Class width upper minus lower. 155 minus 150, so 5, and so on. Next, 10, 165 minus 155, 170 minus 165, so 5. Then 10, 190, then 10 minus 180, 200 minus 190, so 10. Now you can divide. 10 divided by 5, so 2. 25 divided by 10, so 2.5. 12 divided by 5, so 2.4. 33 divided by 10, so 3.3. 22, so 2.2. 5 divided 10, so 0.5. Now you have the frequency density. You can draw directly. From 150 to 155, the height to 150. So first, what is the greatest frequency density? 3.3. So our interval, you can say that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Between 0 and 1, we have 10 small squares. So each small square represents 0.1. So for the first class from 150 to 155, the height 2. You can use the ruler. It's better. 150 to 155. The height 2. This the rectangle represents the first class. Next one, the height 2.5 from 150 to 165. 155 to 165, the height 2.5. 2.5. So this 2.5 from 150 to 165. And same way, for the third, 165 to 170, the height 2.4. The height 2.4, so this is the height 2.4 till 170, from 165 till 170. So this is the rectangle represents this set. Then 3.3 from 170 to 180. 3.3 after 3 small squares, 170 to 180. .2 from 180 to 190. 2.2 is 2.2 from 180 to 190. 0.5 from 190 to 200. 0.5 from 190 to 200. This is our histogram. For number 2, you have the histogram drawn for you. but we need to complete this table. You need to find the frequency. How to find the frequency if you have the histogram? The frequency for each class is the area. So to find the frequency from 0 to 5, find the area for this rectangle. Area, length by width, or base times height. So if this 0 and this 10, so this 5. So to find the area for this rectangle, base 5, height 1, so 5 times 1, so 5. So the frequency 5 for the first. Same for second. From 5 to 10, so the base 5. What about the height? This 1, 1.5, 6, 7, 8, so 1.8. So we need to multiply 5 times 1.8. 5 times 1.8, 9, so this 9. And so on. You can complete by your own. You will get these answers 10, 15, 8, 9.